yet? Well, hello everybody. It's Sunday night. We always do something exciting for me anyway. We are having technical difficulties, and it's your fault, Joe. Well, hey, Russell. Glad you could come dragging in. We're testing a lot of different ways of bringing this live streaming to you, and I think next week we're going to have it. Sheila. Now it's Miss Sheila's fault. And so, as frustrating as it is for me, anyway, technology-wise, we're going to make it happen. This has been a dream of mine for a couple years now, to reach out and help the families that are all across America that cannot get to this support meeting on Sunday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon at 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So this is going to serve a purpose for all of us. Last week, we were covering, come on, what's wrong with this thing? There we go. Last week, we were on Unit 3. We're going to finish up Unit 3 hopefully tonight. And it's a good lesson because it talks about something that most of the kids that we deal with are struggling in the classroom. Struggling by, I mean, behavioral issues, educational issues, and we know that if you will follow the instructions in this book exactly the way it's taught, your kids will do better. And there'll be peace in you, which will then transfer to that child. Before we get started tonight, I want to talk to you about your charts. Everybody out there, and in this room, by the way, has been instructed to email me your chart. If I get a chance to look at your chart before we start the support meetings, I'm able to determine how best to serve you. And I look at those charts. In the subject line, when you send those to me, glenn@theparenthelpcenter.com, we drag that into a folder, and we've got those charts for 18 years. We can prove to anybody who might ask, is this parent totally involved in this lifestyle? And I don't know if you will ever need it, and I surely hope and pray you will not, but I don't like trying to play catch up when they're knocking on my door. I have never, ever had a investigator come into a parent's home that we're working with and not be totally blown away by how organized we are and how structured this lifestyle is for the child. They are totally impressed, and many of them have said, gee, everybody needs this thing, and I agree with them. So one day, maybe, we'll be able to reach that point. If you'll email it to me by Tuesday, normally around noontime, that gives me a chance to look at them. In the subject line, the child that you're emailing me, you can simply say 4 checks, 5 checks, 6 checks, whatever they earned. And if you're a 6 check, 7 check parent, I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time on it. But if you're a 4 or less, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to see what in the heck's going on, because that's what a coach is supposed to do, guys. I told a parent today, I'm sitting up in the press box and I can see things that you might be missing by that chart. It tells me a lot of what's going on in your home. Also, the next camp is October 19th through the 21st. I was blown away last camp by the number of parents who came to us from all over America. Parents came to us as far away as Texas, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. Really? And yet, where is the Jacksonville folks? It's too far, they tell me. Baloney. You're going to do what you want to do. I know that for a fact. And I'm not going to get upset with you if you don't. You just didn't want to be here. But I also know without support, without building relationships in this empowered parent community, you will not be around very long. Guarantee it. I've been here too long. So, do it your way. Nobody can control you. Have you heard that before? We can't control your little boy, your little girl, and neither will I even attempt to try to control you. Life is full of choices. You're either going to do what it takes to win, or you're not. That might be a little harsh, but you know what? So is the real world. It is real harsh. So, if your kid has not earned missing camp, I really believe they ought to be in this camp, because if you told them they were going to be here and they're not, we got a problem. Because that puts you in a position that it's real hard for that kid to respect you, because now they can't trust you. They don't believe that you'll do what you said you'll do. You can't do that with a strong-willed kid. Promise you, you can't. So, we're going to be on page 38, and we're talking about, oh, before I forget, tonight we cannot tell who is on the call. Well, I'm going to make sure all of them do good. Please chat to Miss Sheila. Hey, this is Mark. You know, that's all you got to do. Let us know that you're on the call tonight. That way we can keep the records. Next week we will not have that problem. Next week we'll be going to go to meeting, and it has a lot of bells and whistles that we don't have with this program. But it's not free. Golly, I thought everything was free, didn't y'all? Well, this one that we're using right now is free, but it's not meeting the needs, so we're going to make a change next week, bite the bullet, pay the price, and I think you're going to like it a lot. Can't think of anything else for you guys out there, but welcome. This is live stream straight to you because I know you need it, and I'm glad you're here. So let's get started on page 38 in your book. We are talking about using structure and active supervision. I can tell you what I know about active supervision. We got some folks coming in, and I think you can, Jane, I think you can slide up here, get by this camera, or you can sit back there. The moment I hear the word active supervision, the first thing that pops in my mind is work. Who said that all the time? On TV? Gomer. No, Maynard. Maynard G. Krebs. Anytime work came around here, he went, work? Well, I'm sorry, guys. For a strong-willed child, you better get your work boots on. You better be ready to do whatever it takes, because it will be one of the hardest things that you'll ever do. That's just life, and you can't change it. You're not going to change it, not until they move away. Structure, as we have said over and over and over, is not punishment. Can anybody in this room tell me why I do not like punishment? Anybody? Come on. It doesn't work. In fact, I know it makes the kid tougher. And when you punish the kid, I promise you guys, unless you're different than me, there's a high probability that anger is going to play into that. I can't do it. And therefore, I choose not to do it. I choose a better way, a way that will work if you will stay with it. And that's called the law of consequences. For every decision in life, there's going to be a positive or there's going to be a negative consequence. That's life. It's at life at work. It's at life at school. It's at life anywhere you go. You speed, there's a good chance sooner or later, unless you're Miss Sheila. She says all the time, I haven't had a ticket in my life. She hasn't been caught. That's all there is to it. She's a speeder. I've followed her before. I'm going to point her out one day. And so, let's read page 38, using structure and active supervision. When parents supervise their children's activities, parents add accountability to a child's life. Like the majority of freeway drivers who speed when the police are not present, the majority of strong-willed kids will frequently break family rules when their activities are not well supervised. When parents make rules, and by the way, you need to underline this, highlight this, and never forget it. When parents make rules and don't follow through by supervising the results, we are unintentionally teaching our kids that the rules don't have to be obeyed. Heck, you didn't do it last week. Why is he going to do it this week? I think I'll just play the odds. For this reason, not only do parents need to communicate clear rules and expectations for their kids' behavior, but must monitor their kids' responses as well. As we stated in Unit 1, parents do not control their child. Parents do not control their children. Parents do not, oh, did I say that? Oh. Parents do not control their kids. And the sooner you give that up, that notion of control, the faster you're going to see behavior change. You can, however, motivate and encourage your kids to make positive choices. So, let's go through the next few paragraphs slowly and discuss exactly what happened. And if you notice, in my book, I highlight everything that's important. This is almost 100% highlighted because it's that important. So, when parents need a task completed by the child, you should respectfully, always respectfully, communicate the request and expect success. And then actively supervise that request. Now, number 1, acknowledge success. Positive strokes when the task is completed. Johnny, you did a great job on that bathroom. I'm real happy how you cleaned the kitchen, washed the dishes, whatever that task was, guys. That's a great opportunity for you to use a positive stroke. Number 2, if you've been around me very long, you can scratch out if, because I know your kids, when your request is ignored, simply repeat the request, give the child as much time as he needs to complete the task. Well, sadly, many of us don't really understand take as much time as you want. Guys, when you use that statement and then walk away, you put the burden on the kid's shoulders instead of your shoulders. I'm going to walk away, but I can guarantee you I'm going to be doing something as I walk away. I'm going to be locking down stuff. I'm going to be putting stuff away. I'm going to be controlling all the things that that child enjoys. They're going to lose big time, and they're going to lose for 24 hours, whatever I take away. Whatever they lost. I don't even like the word take away. I don't take nothing away. They lost it because of their choices. Once I start taking stuff away, there is no way I'm going back. It's over. 24 hours later, we'll talk again, Johnny. Leave it at that. Don't negotiate, don't talk, don't explain. They already know the rules. None of your kids are stupid. In fact, most of them are pretty darn smart. Don't let them get away with anything that they already knew they were supposed to do. When the task needs to be completed, but withhold the entire list of things until you get what you want. We have a saying, Johnny, you cannot get what you want until I get what I want. Respect, anger management, and work ethic. That's all I want. Guys, is that too much to ask of a child to respect you? I mean, you do believe you earned being respected, I hope. to control their temper because you can't control it, and to have a work ethic. When those three things take place, you're going to find your kids excelling in more ways than you can ever imagine. Doesn't mean they're going to like it. They're going to push back. They're going to fight it. But that's just the way it is, temporarily. And so, respectfully repeat the request. Add the statement, take as much time as you need, but withhold the child's list of things until you get what you want. It says in the book, until the room is clean. So apparently, this parent has asked little Johnny to clean his room. He comes back 3 minutes later, maybe 5, and he says, it's done. Are you kidding me? You must have clear expectations. How do you do that? You clean the room yourself exactly the way you want it, and then you take a picture of it. And then you post that picture on the back of the door or some place that little Johnny can visibly see how you want it to look. I always say to my kids, are you sure it's the way I want it? I have never had a kid say yes. They always go back and make sure that it looks like that picture, because they know in my world, when you don't live up to my expectations, you're going to pay. And there's no debate. And so they understand that if Mr. Glenn says it, it's going to happen. I do not lie. It may interfere with something I want to do tonight or tomorrow night. I may be uncomfortable having to live this lifestyle. But you're going to do what you have to do if you're going to be successful in this lifestyle. Second paragraph on the right-hand side, it should be all highlighted. In fact, everything I've read should be highlighted. Because the child's list, that's on page 37, by the way, involves, did somebody say something? I'm reading on 38. The list is on 37. Am I yeah, I'm right, 37. Involves the things kids enjoy. They are now motivated to do their chores to get the things on the list. Interestingly, allowing a kid as much time as they need or choose to complete the chore is a very effective method of transferring responsibility from your shoulders to the child. That's the goal, parents. Guys, you've been carrying this load around a long time, 10, 12, 13, 17 years in some cases. I know you're tired. I know it's getting harder and harder to do. We've got to get this kid to understand the correlation between his choices and consequences. And once that takes place, and some kids are slower than others at picking up on that, but once they figure it out, it's not going to be near as hard to get them to do anything you want, because they know when they had a bad day at school, there's a consequence waiting on them when they get home, period. It's a very effective method of transferring responsibility to the child. Statements like take as much time as you need are powerful in helping the kid understand that it's his behavior, her behavior, that determines when they may have the things on the list. Again, the child's list of things is available only after you get what you want. It's called, in case you don't know it, a self-limiting restriction, self-limiting timeout, self-limiting T-spot. What does that mean? Well, Johnny, you can take as long as you want, but you're in control of when you get to drive the car again. You're in control of when you get to play football again. Oh, by the way, there's nothing off the table for me. I don't care if you are the starting center, starting quarterback, head cheerleader. I don't care. I'm going to get respect, I'm going to get anger management, and I'm going to get a work ethic, or you will not play on Friday night. Coach is going to come to you and say, well, You wouldn't do that to the team, would you? Absolutely I won't. Johnny will. And I expect he'll do better, or you won't see him Friday night. I'll guarantee you one thing. If he's any good, you'll have a whole bunch of coaches helping you parent little Johnny. I can guarantee you that because it's happened already. I know it does. So, the last paragraph. It is parental control of the child's list that motivates them to do the chore. Not your screaming, not your yelling, and not your arguing. Structure and supervision is your formula for success. When we add daily parental expressions of love to this formula, it creates a strong framework for parenting. Guys, don't leave off probably the most important thing in this book. Anybody want to yell out what it is? Unit 1, love and affection. And I know it's hard when they've just done some things that hurt you, broke your heart. I know it's hard. But guys, the book says, do it. Johnny, I'm disappointed. Oh, by the way, you heard the word I come out? That's called I messages, and most of us have not mastered that yet. You really need to. An I message transfers. You yelling and arguing, it makes the child understand how you feel. I messages. Johnny, I'm disappointed, I'm hurt, I'm let down, but I still love you. And there's still going to be consequences. And you turn around and walk away. Anybody want to tell me why we walk away so quick? Well, I will. As long as you stand in front of that kid, all they see is they want to fight. And all they're thinking is, bring it on. Guys, you're nuts to stand there and let a child abuse you verbally or physically. I will not allow that to happen in my world. I'm going to show them my back. I'm going to give that child enough time to think, is it worth it? Yes? It's easy to do it in a car. You think I haven't done timeouts in a car? You think I haven't told a child you're on a T-spot sitting in a car, and when it happens in the car, when you get to where you're going, that's for 24 hours, young lady.
But I mean, in the point of driving, when they're arguing, and you can't obviously just turn your back because you're locked in the road.
I would simply say, both of you are going to be in a very bad situation if you do not stop it right now. You're going to lose some currency that you value the moment we get home. Now you make a choice. You do what you want. Keep doing this, and you're going to lose, or shut your mouth and accept the timeout. But if they do not fear what's going to happen when you get home, guess what they're going to keep doing? Running their mouth.
Well, and the thing is, when you tell them, take as much time as you want,
Mm-hmm.
I've had my beloved daughter take that to an extreme and want to take it.
What are you doing while she's taking? No. What are you doing while she is taking her time? You start controlling and locking down the cell phone, the computer, everything you have to convince her she's not going to do that and not suffer the loss of her valuable stuff that she can't live without. When you get to the point that she realizes that you mean business, when you say stop it, that's exactly what you mean, because the next thing is a loss of currency, they'll stop.
You have to go, you can't, it's not recommended to give a deadline.
I don't, but I'm not the parent.
Not me, but I'm just talking about
I don't. I leave it up to them. I don't care how long they take, but I'm going to tell you this. Let's say I want the living room vacuumed and picked up because I've got company coming at 7. I tell little Johnny, this is what I want you to do. 30 minutes later, Johnny's still playing his video game or doing whatever Johnny wants to do. Listen to me, parents, I will get up and go do it myself. I will not debate it. I will not warn him, but I'll promise you this. When he sees me doing his job, by the way, Darren, what happens when you have to do an employee's job at work?
well,
Yes. Serious consequences. Letters of warning, days off without pay. Is going to get worse all the way to a full-blown T-spot for the employee. What's a full-blown T-spot? You're fired. Well, this is a life skill that we're teaching our kids. It's very important for them to understand. I'm going to give you a chance to shut up. It's called a timeout. Timeout is designed to calm down and keep this kid from getting into any more trouble. If they accept the timeout tomorrow morning, clean slate, new beginning. If they don't, then tomorrow morning we have breakfast they're not going to like. And it will stay that way until they give me what I want. Camp. I had kids say, my kid won't come to camp. Really? And he lives in South Florida. I don't have a problem getting a kid to me in South Florida, none. Daddy, pack up. Now, by the way, you better be dead serious when you come into this game to win. Pack up everything he owns, everything he values, and ship it to me. And the way he gets it back is how? You come to camp. Tell me that doesn't work. Oh, I know it works. It will work so fast. What are you doing, Daddy? Well, I'm shipping it to Mr. Glenn. And when you go to camp 30 days from now, take as long as you want. They won't take long. I can guarantee you that they will get in gear. And I'm not screaming and I'm not yelling. I'm just packing everything that they value. Computers, everything. That's what's called influencing a child to do what he doesn't want to do versus screaming, yelling, arguing, and fighting, and even getting frustrated. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of being frustrated by a child. So, structure and supervision is your formula for success. And when you add that daily expression of love, it creates a very strong framework for your parenting. Let's turn to page 39, using structure and supervision to improve school performance. The first paragraph should be highlighted. We consider poor school performance to be a destructive adolescent behavior because it often sends kids into a tailspin from which they may not recover. We had a little girl that failed the 6th grade 3 times. You think she was motivated to go to school? She was bigger than every kid there, older than every kid there, and could not get her. She'd go in the front door and straight out the back door, being raised by grandparents. That's why you can't let them get behind. You've got to stay right there on top of it. And this, what we're talking about right now, is how you get your kids to do better. Let's turn to the next page, 40. It's called a daily homework assignment sheet. Guys, I don't think this works. I don't hope it works. I absolutely know it works, and I've got documented proof that if you will follow these instructions, you will see your kid improve. Now, a daily homework assignment sheet, a lot of parents do it online today, parents, teachers, and I don't like that, by the way, because it always tends to leave the kid an out. Well, she hasn't posted it yet. She hasn't done this. Well, you can't argue because she may not have, but it's an out. Daily homework assignment sheet, there is no out. They bring it home. There is zero acceptance of not completing this every single day because there's going to be serious consequences. And some parents or teachers use the agenda book. But there has to be some form of communication with that teacher every single day. And little Johnny has to know if he doesn't earn respect in the classroom, he doesn't control his temper in the classroom, and have a good work ethic, which is doing everything the teacher tells him to do, when he gets home that night, he automatically put himself on restriction. Automatic. And you will stay on restriction until you bring this daily homework assignment sheet home with all 3 checks. That don't sound like a whole lot of fun to me as a kid. Oh, by the way, I'm in band. I have all this extracurricular stuff that I just threw away because I failed to live up to the classroom expectations. It's just that simple. Could this lifestyle be called tough love? Uh-huh. You better believe it. It is tough love. Who's it tough on? The parents. Your kids are way tougher than you think they are. Way tougher. It's hard for you guys for a couple reasons. Number one, you're old. Number two, you're tired. And number three, you're frustrated. Transfer all of that to your kid. And once they figure this thing out, it's going to be okay. I promise you. So the daily homework assignment sheet is very, very important. Page 41, we look at the example, if you will. Little Johnny has taken it upon himself to fill in the daily homework assignment sheet for his teacher. They will absolutely cheat. You better have the signature of that teacher at the beginning of the year, the initial. By the way, all the kid has to do, the teacher has to do, is initial it. She can put any extracurricular things in that blank, but the bottom line is Johnny fills it out. Johnny does everything but take it to the teacher and ask her to sign it. If the teacher says, I don't have time to do it, excuse me? She says to you, well, I got 140 kids. You got one of mine. And more than likely, this kid is already causing problem in the classroom. Don't you think she would want your help? And I will insist that I get that help, or I will go above her head. I'll take it all the way to the superintendent. This is not too much for a teacher to ask the teacher to do. Demand it. Page 42, take everything away. How do I take everything away for a short period of time when I am at work, driving the car, at home, to supervise my kid? In other words, there's other problems going on. Well, you can't watch your kid 24 hours a day. I know that for a fact. But you can also enlist neighbors. Anybody know there's cameras that goes in houses now? And you can sit there, and my son does it. He knows when his daughter walks in the house. He knows when she's sitting there doing her homework. There's a lot of ways to watch your kid today than just hoping they're doing it.
You can actually put cameras in your car now if your kids are not good in the car. It's a distraction. I mean, it's not good.
Absolutely. There's cameras that can go in your car. Miss Sheila.
I have one of the moms from Colorado saying we can't hear questions that are being asked in the future. Can Glenn repeat the questions, please? Also love having him live. From Chelsea says it's 3 p.m. here, and although kiddos aren't listening, they do hear a familiar voice in the background.
Well, I did. You were talking while I repeated it, but the parents said that there's cameras that can go in your car now, that you literally can see them talking in the background and all kinds of stuff. So technology is a real asset, but we got to use it. And it's not that expensive anymore. It used to be a little up there, but not anymore because it's in demand. Even for working parents, there is an answer. We know several parents whose cars look like lowriders traveling down the street. All of their kids' stuff is locked up in the car's trunk. Other parents take their kids' things over to a neighbor's house or a relative. Still, another parent found the Hampton plug lock at her local True Value and Walmart stores. The lock fits over the electric plug of any appliance, TV, stereo, computers. So there's a lot of things, guys, that you will learn how to do when you stay involved in our support system. Page 43, right-hand side, second paragraph should be highlighted. If a child refuses to cooperate, and some do, the loss of the activities on his list will bring him or her to change and do the homework. Lectures, angry shouting matches, and threats only slow the process of change. And that's an absolute fact, guys. Last paragraph should be highlighted, every bit of it. When parents hold children accountable to do their homework and review it daily, added motivation by withholding the child's list of activities until the homework is complete, that's a self-limiting restriction, and approved by a parent, the results are generally improved grades and kids who will feel better about themselves and their ability to get things done. That's your goal, guys. I had a kid last night. I was doing FaceTime in California, I think it was, and he would give mom a fit when she was trying to help with the homework. Really? Well, don't you need help, son? Well, yeah. So why are you arguing with your mother? If a kid wants to argue with you helping them, what should you do? Don't help. I'll never forget Alan and Cindy. I won't mention their last names. Both were police officers, and both were fighting with this kid in school. Cindy has her master's. She's very educated. Both were 20-year veterans of the Jacksonville Police Department. They set their son down, and this is a quote, "I give you permission to fail," and turned around and walked away. He didn't fail. He passed. We don't know how he passed, but he did. The bottom line is, guys, don't let a kid control you when you're trying to help him. You're not helping him at all by standing there letting him abuse you. Walk away. Get away. Turn to page 48. Critical family concept for this unit is, my kids need my active supervision. They really, really do. And not only do they need it, they may not tell you this until they're grown, they want it. Why is it so important that your kids' friends know that you're going to show up? We call it a spot check. Why is it so important that they see you where they don't want to see you, like the mall, the football game, the parties? That's important because your kid can look his friends in their face and say, my mom is crazy. She's liable to show up anytime. I cannot drink, I cannot smoke, I can't do nothing because when I walk home into my house, she's going to be standing there, my dad's going to be standing there, and they're going to hug me, they're going to tell me they love me, and they're going to smell me. I know what they're doing. And they do. But at least those knucklehead friends that aren't really his friends will believe you. When those kids come home at night, guess where you better be? Standing there waiting on them. Open up the door and say, hey, guys, I hope you had fun tonight. Come here, Johnny, let me hug you. Smell you. You do whatever it takes. Guys, I've said it 100 times. We are in a war. And the sooner you realize that, you'll be prepared to go to war. I know how to go to war. I know what it takes. And that's what we're trying to do with each and every one of you in Florida, California, wherever you might be. We have a support system that will work and not let you down. And so let's look at the slide. Poor grades and dismal report cards can propel parents into anger and frustration. Most of the time, our kids just are lazy. Most of the time. You know that better than I. Lectures about the future and grounding them until the next report card are tempting. We know that. But you must resist the temptation and stick with what you know works. What you've been doing in the past, you might as well get rid of because it doesn't change behavior. As with all other destructive behaviors, there is a proven formula for success, and it's the book you have in front of you. It is tried and proven. It's been around for over 30 years. Do it. Don't do anything different. You got a better chance of winning with the book than you do it doing your way. Formula for success. Anybody ever heard of the 6-step action plan? Do you use it? I hope so. It's in the book. And Cindy would have it on a 3x5 card. She carried it in her pocketbook with her gun. But every time she sat down, she followed the plan. Unwavering love and affection, no matter what that kid did. And let me tell you something. He was a tough, tough kid. He would say things like, I hope you get killed today. Oh, yeah. Break her heart. Did he mean it? No. But he knew what he was doing. He was pushing those buttons and causing her to get upset, to go to her bedroom and cry over a child she loved with all of her heart. Realistic expectations that are clearly stated. Do not be vague with these kids, because they'll find a crack to fall through, crawl through, get through. Don't be vague. Positive strokes and positive consequences are critical to this lifestyle. Celebrate even small successes. And sometimes you got to be very creative to find something that you can brag about. Celebrate even the small successes. Spot checks to hold kids accountable. Guys, I know you're tired. I know you don't want to get out of the house again. I know spot checks is work. But guys, your kids should be walking around any place they are going. I know they're here somewhere, and you should not let them down. And if you got little kids, start it right now. Raise them with this lifestyle, just like my grandkids who are 8. This is all they've known. And I promise you, by the time they get to middle school, they're going to be at Camp no. They're going to be the kind of kids that we all want them to be. I promise you. Spot checks is critical. Short-term negative consequences using the child's list of things. That's page 37. And consistency is where most of us falter. Inconsistency sends a terrible message to these strong-willed kids. What's the biggest message? They don't care. Why should I? If you're inconsistent, you're going to hurt yourself big time. If you require the daily homework assignment sheet, you must look at it every single day. Don't just lay it on the counter. Look at it, read it, communicate with that teacher, work with that teacher, because Johnny needs to know that you care enough to follow up. What did I do? If you make a rule and don't follow up, you tell your kid that the rule isn't important, because rules are important. We all know that. If your child must attend after-school help sessions, you must spot check their participation either visually or through communication with the teacher. If your child is a skipper, you must stay up to date on the attendance via online system or communication with the attendance office. Say what you mean and mean what you say. We want every one of you to become proactive parents. What's a proactive parent? You're ahead of the game. You're ahead of the kid, not a reactive parent. A reactive parent responds to the negative behavior of a child, and you can never win a war responding. You must have a plan. It's going to require work. So guys, do the work. That's all you got to do. Well, that's the end of Unit 3, and we are confident that if you will do Unit 3, you'll see a better performance in the classroom. Positives. Anybody out in computer land, if you have a positive that you would like to share with us tonight, next week it'll be a lot different and it'll be a lot easier to share, but chat to Miss Sheila. She's sitting there eagerly waiting to communicate with you and let us know what is positive out there in your world. And by the way, guys, it doesn't have to be just about your kid. Hey, you may have been unemployed for a year and you got a job finally. Well, we care enough to applaud you and congratulate you, because that's important to you. It's important to us. So send us those positives. We want them. Anybody in this room have a positive that you would like to share? Darren, hold up. Let me give you the mic.
Well, Mr. Glenn, as you know, my whole family's been a part of the Parent Help Center, and of course, different children. You have a strong-willed child, you can have a more compliant child, whatever. But a positive is that my oldest son, who's been in Scouts since he was in first grade, he went ahead and, of his own inclination, he took it upon himself to want to join the Order of the Arrow, which is kind of like an extra scouting organization. And again, because as being a parent trying to encourage, I've kind of like, encourage, step back, see him act like he wants to, give him a little bit of leash, go ahead and make his own decisions as they get older, of course. And of course, he made that decision, and he went through his ordeal this weekend. And of course, he passed through the ordeal, which is kind of like not a hazing, but kind of thing where he had to do a certain amount of hiking, had to, do a lot of things, couldn't talk, couldn't be on no technology. I mean, sleeping out with no tent, so he went through all that whole thing, and he got through it, and he's, like I said, he got his Order of the Arrow.
Kind of proud of it, aren't you?
I'm very, you said a positive, so that's a positive, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Anybody else got a
thank you.
positive? Pass the mic around if you do. Anybody? Our goal has been from get-go to be able to see the person out there. And so next week that will happen. They will be able to turn their camera on if they want to. They don't have to, but they'll be able to talk to us and us see them if they would like. At some point, not too far from now, we're going to have a second camera where they will be able to see you guys sitting in this room, and that's something that makes it more personal from their standpoint, and that's the goal. Miss Sheila, you need the mic. Karen?
This is from Misty in Texas, and she said Luke is passing everything for the first 6 weeks, and we started using the assignment sheet. It's helped so much.
Absolutely. Guys, this daily homework assignment sheet has brought so much peace into homes, it's unbelievable. It really is. And I know you might be doubting it, but don't. This stuff works. Everything in this book has already been tried and proven. So therefore, just do it. Don't question it. I don't understand why electricity works, or I don't care. I just want it to work. Got something? Well, don't raise your hand. Yes.
Before we came, Zachary reminded us that he needs to go to Walmart to go shopping. And Tolly started balking, like, well, no, blah, blah, blah. And Zachary said, wait a minute. I give you what you want. You give me what I want. Isn't that how it works, Dad? So, yeah. So, yeah. It was a rough week. Not completely Zach's fault or what have you, but it was a rough week with some high school drama, girlfriend drama. I'm going to lay it as a positive. Because of this high school drama or what have you, on the way home, he goes to private school, so it's a van, not a bus. There was words between him and another student. The bus driver interjected. Zach got smart with her. She pulled over and said, get out of my van. The old Zach probably would have stayed there to fight or what have you. He got out. And that was it, you know. While I'm talking to him, because he called me to tell me what happened, his version, the phone starts ringing, but I'm on with him, so it wasn't dun 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 dun. It was just, I saw the name of the school. I got off with him. I spoke to his advisor, and he laid it out exactly how Zach had laid it out. So that made me, he was honest in everything that went back and forth. And after we talked, he said, no, Zach, Zach is doing so good. There's going to be stuff like this that happens. So he had to pay his consequences, and I did advise him he had to go and apologize to the van driver. And he apologized to her. He took his consequences at home, and he took his consequences at school.
I can guarantee you that's a big deal for Zach. Just to accept the fact and not try to lie out of it. That's a big deal, guys, and that's something to say. That's your positive stroke. I am proud of you, Jack. What you told me was exactly what I heard from the school. That shows you're trustworthy. And by the way, that's something every parent has to deal with.
This is from Kay in El Paso, Texas. Alona got above a C in all of her classes, and she wanted Mr. Glenn to know this is the first time she has not gotten a referral for bad behavior.
This is encouraging to me, guys, because many of our kids are discouraged in the classroom. There's a lot of issues in the classroom that they have no control over, a lot. And so we have to realize that when we're dealing with our kids in school, that a little research might help. What is really going on in that classroom? And you can get permission to go sit in that classroom. I've done it. They put my name on the list. I go sit there and I'll just watch. And by the way, they always do good when I'm in class. Always do good. So, any other positives before we go to another subject? I want to talk to you. Okay.
Rusty had several tests, and school's very hard for him because he's, not on the brighter side of school. And up until this year, he's not had to study a lot to, barely get by. But this academic year is much more challenging for him, and he had a quiz, and like 3 tests this week. And so I do the study guide, and he had to stay up later, and we sat there and studied probably 3 nights this week, and he was complicit with that. Usually it would be a lot of pushback. And I think he did okay on a couple of the assignments. So that was a big deal for him, because usually come nighttime, his day is 7 a.m. to 5 because he buses all the way over the west side. He's done. You're not getting anything out of him. And he did work very hard academically.
Make sure we recognize that. Our kids, many of them, have learning disabilities, have problems that we can't fix. They just have to live with it and do the best they can. My son is a bona fide knucklehead. I'm sorry, Cord. I know. Did he come on, or do you know? This knucklehead, we knew he was smart. He just didn't want to be smart until he paid for his own way to go to college, until he was determined to make straight A's. And he did. And I went to his graduation. I was so proud of that boy, because when he wanted good grades, he got good grades. So guys, I know that every one of you wants your kids to be a straight A student, but not every kid is a straight A student. And you have to accept the fact, pushing them and prodding them to get those grades. Guys, if they're capable of it, they will get it when it means something to them. And when he had a wife and a little girl and a job that was going nowhere, he determined that he was going to go somewhere, and now he's somewhere. I have to get permission to get into his gated community to go see him. I hope he lets me in soon. Yes.
About the homework sheet. So, in these kids that really truly struggle to keep up with anything, he lost like 50 IDs last year to the point that we put it in his IEP that I'm not paying $100, for all these IDs because every time he goes to office and gets a new one, they charge him. So he has a terribly hard time keeping up with it. I lost it, I can't find it, it fell out of my book bag. And so we held him to it and said, okay, you don't get your check. But I know he's unorganized, and you come home and you try to organize him, but he really struggles. So we came home Friday, and I print the sheet that has 2 homework sheets on it, and I had not dated it. And so I know he showed me the B-Day one on Friday from Wednesday, but I couldn't prove it because I didn't put a date on it. I let him fill it out. So I gave him his check because I felt like it was my mistake for not writing a date on it. But I told him, I said, I know that's the same one you gave me on Wednesday. I didn't put the date on it. So we wrote out the ones for next week, and I put the date on it. And I think I'm going to cut it in half now so that there's only A and B day. And but what do you do with these kids? It truly is hard for him to keep up with a piece of paper. And I say put it in the same place every time, but he's got papers. It drives me nuts.
We initialed our sheets. Every day she brought it home, we initialed. Every day she brought the sheet home, we initialed it, and I dated that I saw it that day.
Okay.
I also sat down in a spiral bound planner like this.
Absolutely.
He's lost like 20 of them, and we tried planners.
Yeah, if you initial it every single day, then there'll be no question. See how smart she is? Yes, I know. Let me talk about something before we break and get the kids in here. And on our chart, years ago we developed that chart, and we haven't critiqued it much, but I have made some changes, and I posted it on Facebook today, I think it was, maybe yesterday, that a child that makes less than 5 checks, the 4th check or below goes into a negative instead of a positive. Everything before 4 checks is positive. They're going to get rewarded for 7 checks, 6 checks, and 5 checks. But when you drop down below 5 checks, it's not nothing gained, nothing lost. I am wrong. There's going to be something lost. Number one, I would scratch out, if you've got the old one, we're going to update the new one for the new parents, but if you've got an old one, scratch out nothing gained, nothing lost, and write in there automatic restriction for the weekend. Automatic. How you work that restriction is up to you. They could be pulling weeds, they could be doing homework, they could do anything that you want them to do. But yes, you can forget nothing gained, nothing lost.
So that means it's a T-spot if they're at 4 checks.
A T-spot,
You say all the whole weekend.
a T-spot is the worst consequence. Unless you're doing take everything away, and most parents do not take everything away. I'm sorry, I know how we are. You're doing loss of currency. If you're forced to take something away, which is their weekend fun, it's for the whole weekend. So the next time they're going to think it's not worth losing my weekend. I'm going to earn 5 checks because I want to have fun. And when they do that consistently, one day that light's going to come on and they're going to say, man, I ain't doing that again. And they'll start earning those 5 checks. But 5 checks is the only way you have fun in my world. Anything less than that's going to hurt big time. Yes?
What would you call a restriction, a weekend restriction? Just like no TV, no electronics?
Yeah, just what you would call it. What would you call a restriction? It's the same thing you normally do when a kid can't have fun. Clean the garage out, wash the cars, paint the house, whatever you want them to do, but it's not going to be what they want to do. By the way, Has nothing to do with punishment. Nothing. They're just not going to get what they want doing it their way. That's what this whole weekend is about. Most of us want our kids to have fun on the weekend. But if they don't earn it, guys, don't let them get something they didn't work for. Okay? Scratch out, nothing gained, nothing lost, and write in automatic weekend restriction. Okay? Yes, Lynn?
I had a suggestion for the home.
Hold it. Pass it out. This won't happen next week, I promise. But your comments are so important, Lynn.
A suggestion for the homework sheet. We have the same issues that you had, and it's a fighting battle. So this year, how we are approaching it is if he gets them done for the week, he is going to get a special reward the following week. His school that he's going to be going to does like special lunches where they cater out every day somewhere to a different restaurant or whatever. And we are going to supply him the money to be able to choose which day he wants to go for what meal by getting it all signed. Also, meeting with every single teacher, we've already got our meeting set up because he's starting the new school next week with all the teachers, so everybody is clear across the board as far as the homework assignment. He also has to, we had a lot of problems where he would say that he's done the homework and already turned it in. That is no longer going to be the case this year. He actually has to physically show us the homework in order to get the credit that it was done. And that, again, goes towards his reward for the next week. So we are trying very hard this year to, because he's now home officially today, so I guess that's our positive, although we need a lot of prayer with that. But, we are going to look more into rewarding the smaller totally positive consequences versus focusing more on the negative behavior with the hopes that we can change some of the past behaviors that we are experiencing. But school is a struggle. You have to stay on top of your IEPs and your teachers. And like I said, meet with the teachers one-on-one if you have to set up a way to do that. He doesn't know it, but our teachers text us all of the assignments. So if he says he doesn't have one and he decides to write in there that there's no homework, I'll know whether or not immediately. But that, like I said, we're trying really hard this time around to completely revert it to totally positives and trying to get as much buy-in from him as we can on this approach.
Absolutely. This positive thing is more of a motivator than the negative will ever be. The positive is more of a motivator than the negative. So guys, try to find something good and reward them for the good and tell them, if you do this, this is what you can earn. Yes, Sheila? Hold it.
No, that's okay. I'll just tell you, you can answer. Amy in Pennsylvania says, so is a restriction, no currency, and extra chores?
If they have earned 4 checks, and that's it, the restriction is whatever the parent wants done. It's normally going to involve physical work. It may involve school work. It may involve boredom, absolute, total boredom, because I know for a fact that your kids cannot deal with boredom. They hate it. And so when you insist that they have no fun, and by the way, the restriction is not in their bedroom. That's where all of their stuff is, all the things that they like. That's off limits. And so a restriction is boredom. That's the bottom line. Okay, anybody else? Anything before we call in Mr. Denver? Well, Mr. Talley, how long has it been since I've seen you last? Couple months, 3 months? About 3 months. We have missed Talley. He has been dealing with cancer treatments, and considering you're not better looking than you were, but I'm sure happy to see you. Tally is one of our absolute men that we count on. And every summer except this summer, he has always been at camp on his off days, which happens to be during the week. And so he's a friend of this organization, and he's definitely a friend of mine, and I missed you, buddy. Glad you are back. So let me lay this down, and I'm going to go run, tell Mr. Denver, and I'll be right back. Okay, Miss Sheila will go get him. Again, as you can see on the chart, TV, the next camp is October 19th through the 21st. Guys, if your kids earn it, get them here. We have said over and over, we will do whatever it takes to help you. Do you know we have a discount for parents that are committed to this lifestyle? But I'm not going to give it to you. I am not going to give it to you. I have to hire people, pay people to do Firewatch now.
What?
You heard me?
Am I checking the mail?
I have to.
I want it retro.
And so I have to charge something to cover my cost. And we feed a lot of people on camp weekend. That's not free. So guys, you're forcing me to do things I didn't want to do. But camp is a necessary part of this lifestyle. I'm sorry? Okay. If you are willing to work, right, Dorothy? She talked about you. I think you got another bud. All she talked about was that crazy woman. But it's kind of fun, isn't it, Dorothy? Yeah. Well, I knew the moment you complained what the problem was, and I just kept pouring water in it till it kept coming out. Now you know. Boy, she jumped on me. Where's my coffee? My kind of woman, no doubt about it. Are you there, Mr. Denver? Okay. Gabe, we're going to do the same thing we did last time. We'll let the kids stand over here. And we're not putting the kids on TV. What? Oh. We have rewards that I want, but it ain't going to happen. Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, our 7-check kids, come on in. Give them a hand, guys. As we say all the time, it is a choice, and we absolutely appreciate how you keep your mouth shut, because that's half of earning 7 checks. Give them a hand again, guys. We have snacks tonight, girls and boys. 6 checks. Way to go, guys. Way to go. Again, just like 7 checks, 6 checks is a big deal. It's a choice. And the biggest choice we have to do is yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. Yes, sir, and no, sir. Just follow the simple rules that mom has for you, dad has for you, and you will always be better than a 5-check kid. Thank you, guys. Give them another hand. 5 checks. Wait a minute, Simone. Get over there, girl. Russell, where are you going? Simone, did you get 5 checks? Wow, what a deal. Everybody, a 5 checks is you get to have fun. 5 checks means you're in control of your life instead of mom and dad. And I'm proud of every one of you. I know that we all could have made 7 checks, but I'll take 5 checks because when I met you, Russell, you were a no-check kid. Keep it up, guys. We got snacks in the back for you. Okay, all of you come on in. Over there. 1, 4, and 1, 3. Who got the 3? Well, Justin? Yeah, I know. Every one of those were choices too. Because sometimes the best thing to do is just shut your mouth. And that, neither one of you can do that. That's your you are your own worst enemy. So I emailed Grandma earlier today. Did you see that email? Huh? Well, you would have stayed with me last week. You earned it. And you've definitely earned it again. So Miss Sheila and I are going to spend the night here with you. You're not going home. You're not going to have fun. How you like that, Justin? And guess what we'll do next Sunday night, too? We'll be right here. You better earn 5 checks next, or you'll be right here. I'm tired of telling you over and over and over. Let me ask you a question, Justin. What's 2 plus 2? What is, how do you spell joy? So you're a smart kid, aren't you? But you're not smart enough to shut up. You're not smart enough to do what Grandma and Grandpa tells you to do. So we're going to have fun, me and you. Luca, next Sunday, I'll be right here. And if Justin's here, you'll be right here with him. I didn't warn you, but now you're warned. And you don't get snacks tonight because you did not earn them. Okay? Go. Mr. Denver?
Can you real quick, for the sake of one of my children, well, actually both of mine, about the 4 checks, how it's now.
Okay, kids, listen up. As you enjoy your snack, Mr. Glenn has made, I think this might be the first mistake I've made in a long time. The charts that we have been handing out, emailing to parents when they when they join support, it says for a 4-check reward, nothing gained, nothing lost. That's not true. You're going to lose something. 5 checks is how you have fun. Anything less than 5 checks, and by the way, I can keep anybody here tonight, and you keep running your mouth, I will. If you think I'm playing games, you don't know me. Shut up and listen, because this is going to affect you big time. 4 checks, you automatically have no fun for the weekend. You automatically are on restriction for the weekend. 4 checks means you will be doing chores, schoolwork, washing windows, cleaning the house. I don't care what parents decide for you to do, but you will not do what you want to do with 4 checks. In order to do what you want to do, you have to be a 5-check kid. The new charts will have that on it, but for all you parents that have the old chart, scratch out nothing gained, nothing lost, because you're going to lose big time. That's what you earned, and we're not going to give you what you don't earn. Okay? Mr. Denver? What's that?
How many of y'all know what our motto is? Exactly. We have to model. Changed parents will see changed kids. We have to model the behavior we expect from our children. Tonight's lesson, character trait we talked about was love and how that actually looks. And I believe some of our children have a misunderstanding of how it looks because of our attitude and how it's not we're not exemplifying what true love actually is. And therefore our children, I was talking to our girls, that they go looking for love in all the wrong places, often because they don't have a foundational basis for which that looks like. And so that's what we're doing. See, and our goal, parents, is for us to come alongside you to help you with this understanding. I asked a question tonight. I said, well, how many do your parents teach y'all about love? They deliberately, intentionally teach you about love. And one raised their hand, and I said, what did they say? Well, I don't remember. Well, you don't. Well, that means that means the lesson was not taught. What was taught, but if it's forgotten, you can't. If you don't recall it, you can't live with something you don't know. And the scripture says, "My people perish for the lack of knowledge," and we don't continue to re-educate our children in these areas. We have to continuously do this. You know how many times I teach a lesson at my house? Often. Why do I have family meetings and devotions often? Because I know they need to have these lessons reinforced. And then guess what I become? I become the loudest voice in their life. And when the world says stupid stuff to them, they're going to come right to me and say, "This is what I heard, Dad." And I'm saying, "No, baby girl," or "No, son, that's not the right answer. Here is the right answer." And that's our job. We got to take that on board. Really, we spend a lot of time with our children. We do. And that's why it's so important, parents, as you take this on. And I know it's a lifestyle change, and it's hard for change. Sometimes it's difficult, but when you take it on board and you live this life according to how you seen it being modeled out, if they see it, children see you modeling this behavior that we're teaching, they will naturally line up with that. All right? Y'all be blessed. Have a good week.